I thought anniversaries were supposed to be about love, about celebrating milestones, about cherishing the journey you've walked together through life's chaos. That's what I believed when I stood in front of the mirror earlier that night, tightening my tie, rehearsing the small toast I had planned for my wife. I had bought her a delicate gold bracelet, engraved with the date of our wedding, and I was excited to see her eyes light up as she saw it. But the universe had something else in store for me, something cruel, humiliating, unforgettable. Our house was full that evening. My wife had insisted on planning the anniversary party herself, and I didn't protest because she loved hosting. The living room was decorated with fairy lights. The dining table groaned under a spread of food, and our home echoed with chatter and laughter. Her family had arrived early, her friends too, and though I didn't know many of them well, I tried to be a gracious host. I noticed something strange, though. The glances, the whispers, the stifled chuckles when I walked past. At first, I dismissed it as paranoia. Maybe I had a stain on my shirt, or maybe I was just nervous because large gatherings never sat well with me. I convinced myself it was nothing. Then she called for silence. My wife, no, my soon-to-be ex-wife, stood in the center of the room, radiant in a red dress, a glass of champagne in her hand. She clinked it with a fork, the universal signal for attention. Everyone gathered around, forming a circle. I thought she was going to give a speech about us, maybe recall a funny moment from our wedding, maybe tell a heartfelt story about our journey. My heart was already swelling with love and anticipation. Instead, she smiled at me, and then her words cut my world apart. "Happy anniversary, darling," she said, her tone sweet but laced with venom. "I actually do have a surprise for you tonight. You see, I'm leaving you for someone who isn't a loser." The room erupted in laughter. Her friends cackled like vultures circling a dying prey. Her family clapped. Someone even whistled. And there I stood, frozen, my mouth open, my heart thundering in my chest. She wasn't done. With a theatrical flourish, she pulled out a folder from her bag and handed it to me. Divorce papers. Already prepared, already signed by her. The ink barely dry, the betrayal already sealed. "Surprise!" she shouted again, like this was some kind of game show reveal. "I'm trading up." Her friends cheered, raising their glasses. "We never thought she'd actually marry someone so beneath her," one of them sneered. Another chimed in, "Honestly, you should have seen the bets we had going. We thought it wouldn't last a year." The cruelty burned in my ears. I wanted to shout, to demand answers, to rip those papers in half and throw them in her smug face. But I couldn't move. My body betrayed me. My throat locked, my hands trembled. Instead, I stood there with everyone watching, a spectacle for their amusement. And then the final dagger came, because in that moment, she revealed him, the man she had been seeing behind my back. He stepped out from the kitchen like an actor waiting for his cue. Tall, polished, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. She slipped her arm through his and kissed him, right there, in front of me, in front of everyone. The champagne corks popped then, the room filling with celebration. My devastation was their entertainment. The woman I loved, the woman I had devoted years of my life to, was standing beside another man, her eyes gleaming with triumph, as though destroying me was the achievement of her life. I felt hollow. But here's the thing about pain. It wakes something inside you. As I stood there, humiliated, mocked, discarded, something shifted deep within. A strange calmness, even as my heart shattered. I realized then that I had been blind. For years, I had ignored the red flags, the dismissive comments she made in private, the way she looked at me with disdain when she thought I wasn't watching, the constant comparisons to others who were doing better than me. I mistook her criticism for her care, her arrogance for strength, her coldness for independence. No, she hadn't changed overnight. She had always been this way. The audience thought I would collapse, that I would beg, that I would crumble under the weight of her betrayal. That's what they were waiting for, the broken man sobbing in front of them while they toasted his ruin. But I didn't give them that satisfaction. I placed the divorce papers back in her hand, forcing my shaking fingers to be steady. And with a voice colder than ice, I said, "Thank you for finally setting me free." For the first time that evening, the laughter faltered. The room grew quiet. My wife blinked, as though she hadn't rehearsed for this response. The smug grin on her lover's face faltered. I walked past him, past the crowd, out the door. I didn't slam it. I didn't shout. I left with my dignity intact, even if my heart felt like it had been pulverized. In the weeks that followed, I discovered the depths of her betrayal. She hadn't just been unfaithful. She had been draining me emotionally, financially, spiritually, all while planning this grand public humiliation. But while she celebrated, I rebuilt. I focused on myself. I worked harder, not for her approval anymore, but for my own peace. And slowly I began to heal. Her family and friends could drink their champagne, could laugh at my pain, could revel in their cruelty. But the truth is, their celebration was short-lived. Because beneath their laughter was emptiness. Beneath their mockery was pettiness. As for her, I know one thing for certain. The man she left me for will one day discover the same truth I did. She will never be satisfied. She will always need someone to destroy, someone to belittle, someone to make herself feel superior to. And when that day comes, when she turns on him as she turned on me, he'll know what it feels like to be the fool at the center of her twisted performance. But me, I walked away from the stage. And that, perhaps, was a real surprise.